That's closed-minded religion. That's like the people who said to Galileo, the earth is flat. We know the earth is flat. And we're going to punish you because you say it's not flat. The modern day punishment, fortunately, isn't putting people on a rack or doing more extreme things like that, but it is career death quite often in science. And that's why people don't speak up. And I know I was in it. This is Dr. Morgan Giddings with Inner Ways Forward, and I want to talk about the 3-eye atlas, the object that's out there, traversing through our solar system. Now, it's surprising, like online, I see a lot of videos about this, but that's probably like an algorithmic thing because I'm interested in it. But if you haven't heard of it, it's a really curious object. And I think it's curious in a way that is so fitting for our work here, our channel here, of like looking at things from this elevated perspective of, I'll just leave it at that, elevated perspective of what is the meaning of this. Now, one of the things I want to look at in this is it's so crazy that, it's just crazy that most people haven't heard of this object. It's only the third interstellar object, meaning that it's not like a comet that regularly comes back and circles around our solar system. It came from somewhere else, and it's the third one we've ever observed. Now, we didn't used to have tools to observe them so well, so part of the reason why is we don't have a long observation history, but it's anomalous in multiple ways. For one, its trajectory brings it right within about, I think I heard 9 degrees of the ecliptic plane of the planets, within 9 degrees, which is, it's a very small probability of that just happening by chance. I think it was like a point, I don't know, you have to take the whole probability of a sphere and then take a 9-degree range within that. And it was a pretty small, it was like below 1%. Okay. And then its speed is extremely fast compared to other interstellar objects. Its size is extremely large compared to other interstellar objects we've seen. And it doesn't have a typical comet tail. It has a sort of forward-facing tail. And it's even weirder than that, because it's weird in the sense of the reactions of scientists to this. So if you haven't heard much about it, it passed near Mars on October 3rd, and then now it's headed around the other side of the sun, like on the other side from Earth, and then it will come and its closest approach to Earth on, I think it's early December, and continue on its way out of our solar system. And so you'd think with this object, especially with it coming close to Mars, where there were orbiting telescopes and things like that, that we would have really seen a lot of hype, a lot of imagery around it. And there's been very little, except in a small community of people who were like interested and like, what is this thing? And especially, why are large space agencies like NASA, maybe government shutdown, but NASA or other European Space Agency and other places really limiting their discussion of this object? If you're a space scientist, and this is the third ever, and it's anomalous in multiple ways, don't you think you'd be talking about it all of the time and trying to get out as much information as you could about it? So there's speculation that part of the problem with this is that there are some anomalous things about it. I'm not going to go so far as to say that this is like an ET kind of deal. It could be. Yes, it could be. Here I am, trying to not sound far out, but at the same time, it's like the problem is that science is so frickin' conservative. Science, what I mean by conservative is not politically conservative, but the whole word conservative is really about not willing to step out of the box, not willing to step out of the bounds, not willing to consider something. It's like this closed-minded thing that says, if we haven't seen it happen before, it can't happen. It doesn't happen. Or if somebody believes it and believes that it could happen, they're unwilling to speak up because it puts their reputation on the line. So I saw a video from somebody else who was talking about this, and they're like, imagine if you're one of these scientists and you think it could be ET, you know, some kind of manufactured object in some sense because of its multiple anomalous properties. And I'm serious, look it up if you're interested. Like, there are a lot of anomalies about this thing. So if you're a scientist who thinks, what if this is an ET? Well, there is a scientist. It's a guy with the last name of Loeb, and I forget his Ari Loeb from Harvard, spoke up, but he's then now the laughingstock. All these people are saying, you're crazy, you're the laughingstock. Now, why is that? That's fucking, I'm going to use that word, that's fucking insane. That's closed-minded religion. That's like the people who said to Galileo, the earth is flat. We know the earth is flat. And we're going to punish you because you say it's not flat. The modern day punishment, fortunately, isn't putting people on a rack or doing more extreme things like that, but it is career death quite often in science. And that's why people don't speak up. And I know I was in it. That's one of the reasons I left, because I felt like I can't say anything that's outside of the narrow little box that they tell me to speak about inside that box. And that's ridiculous. That's so limiting, because science is a process of exploration, and you can't possibly explore our world without doing so in an open-minded and curious way. And when you say, no, we're going to punish you if you speak up and say this is something beyond what we believe for whatever, I mean, we are 1 star of 10 to the 23rd, so how do we know that there are no ETs? Well, just because we haven't obviously in our face seen one yet, doesn't mean that certain people here on planet haven't seen them yet. There are lots of reports which so many in the mainstream tried to dismiss. They tried to say, no, those little tic-tac things that were caught on literal jet fighters like video, that they're just bogus, that those are artifacts. They're artifacts. Nothing else. If they're just artifacts, we know they're, the more likely explanation is they're artifacts. Based on what? Based on your limited thinking of whoever I'm speaking to, whoever the person is that's saying that kind of nonsense. So that's the same thing with this 3-eye atlas. It's just ridiculous. These people who are willing to punish their colleagues because they're so afraid of stepping up and saying, that's interesting. I mean, we don't have to full-on claim it is some extraterrestrial object, but couldn't we at least be curious about what if it is? And then, even for the people who say, who are willing to speak up and say, well, what if it is? Then they're all going down this path of saying, well, if it is, then we've got to be really worried. What if it circles back around the sun and comes straight at Earth to destroy us? What if these people are here with malicious intent? And that's also just ridiculous. Why do we think that if there was some kind of advanced species out there, that they're necessarily going to be evil and dangerous and predatory? I mean, just think about it here on this planet. Like, you know, humans are the most dangerous and predatory species on this planet. And we are often at the edge of wiping ourselves out and everything else on the planet out with it. So if you think of some species like that makes it that far into the future, like another point I want to make is as we get more technology, we get more dangerous. We get even more dangerous and more likely to wipe each other out. And the only antidote to that, the only thing that will prevent us from wiping ourselves out is if we elevate in our consciousness and our spirit. That is the only thing. Like if we decide we don't need these weapons to kill each other anymore. We don't need to be in fear anymore. We don't need to be in worry anymore. We don't have to do that shit, right? That is the only way that we won't wipe ourselves out. So these people who say, well, advanced species who come visit us, they must have been the top of the food chain who got basically wiped out everybody on their planet, and now they're the evil ones who are going to come get us. Okay, that's one theory, but again, I just gave you a very strong counter argument to that most species who are like that probably would wipe themselves out and everything else out on their planet with them before they ever got to that point of being able to traverse the stars and come here to Earth. So it's kind of ridiculous to project our very fear-based, limited human thinking into the stars and say, well, even if it is an ET, but we're really afraid to even admit that this could even be possible because blah, 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 fact, blah, 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 just ridiculous argument. And really, all it is an argument of well, I don't believe it, so I'm just going to punish you because you do believe it. Okay, so there's that. But then even if we admit maybe it is something, we don't have to be in fear about it. What if a species, if it is ET or some manufactured thing, that they're just curious about Earth, or maybe even more, they realize we're in trouble and that we might need some help right now. And maybe they're doing something that we don't even understand to help us. Where's the scientific counter explanation to that? If you think about a species that might advance and survive and make it through this and actually elevate their consciousness in order to survive for thousands or hundreds of thousands of years, that they would be so far advanced beyond our understanding and of so much higher consciousness that they might actually have technologies that we just couldn't fathom. Right? And they might actually want to help us. So there's one other principle in, when you get into the spiritual world that regular everyday people just don't seem to understand, even many religious people don't understand this, is the importance of free will in this world we live in. The importance of free will. It's a very deep principle of consciousness that we do actually have free will. We do have choice, and that we are here to experience ourselves making those choices and seeing the consequences of our choices. And if you take that, the one thing we have to understand about this whole alien thing, what if it's an advanced species? What if they're actually here to do something positive? Well, if you take this idea of free will as an important principle, and you think that they're advanced consciousness, then what if they're simply trying to respect our free will, at least to a degree, by not directly showing up? Because if right now, with how fearful most humans are, if ET shows up, literally in a way that some probe flies down and it's just obvious to almost everybody, there would still be deniers, because nobody believes anything. But, it flies down and everybody sees it, and then we see it here and we see it there and it's just all over. That would be a big violation of our free will, because it would freak so many people out. It would, who knows, we might send nuclear weapons at it just preemptively. Oh, there's ET, they're going to hurt us, without even knowing why they're here, without even understanding anything about their intention. We might send nuclear weapons and wipe ourselves out, get in an intergalactic war. Who knows? And just get wiped out as a result. So we got to be careful in our limited understanding and projecting our fears. So I guess that's, at the end of the day, the message that I have. I don't know if this thing is a probe. I have seen people online who read energy, who are intuitives, who are channelers, who are psychics, who say they connect with it and that there is some consciousness there. I think that's an interesting thing, and I don't disbelieve it, but I'm not convinced of it also, because I think the best position to take with things like this that we can't fathom, that we can't understand, is open-minded curiosity. It could just be an anomalous object. It could just be something that happened to be flying by on the same trajectory, by the way, from which a 1977 radio signal came. The only signal ever captured by all our hunt for ET signals out there, the only signal ever captured that really was like truly anonymous, that looked like a truly synthetic manufactured signal, was captured in I think it's 1977. And it was within a few degrees of where this object is coming from. Interesting. Curiosity, open-mindedness, that is real science. Real science is not saying, I know it doesn't exist because I am the all-knowing authority oracle of whatever. No, I'm sorry. That's BS. That's why I'm not in academia anymore. I work with academics. Many of them are lovely people, but they've been trained to act religiously. They have been trained to act like a religion. And I'm telling you, it's not healthy for anybody, and it's especially not healthy for a true process of science where we have this intriguing object and like, let's figure it out. Let's be curious. Let's be open-minded. Let's do actual science rather than this BS of saying that we know everything. We know it's not possible. Well, of course it's not possible. Like every scientific revolution, people before the revolution happened, like before the DNA helix, before relativity, before all of these breakthroughs, people said, no, that's not possible. And then breakthrough, oh, well, I guess it's possible. Yeah, whatever. Okay, so, but you're here, hopefully, still. And if you are here, that means you're curious. That means you're open-minded. Let's keep that curiosity going. And if I learn anything more about 3i Atlas, I'll share it here. Thanks for being here. And I forgot to say, please, if you enjoy this content, hit that like button. Hit the subscribe so that you can see more content and prioritize it in the feed. And I'll keep coming back as much as I can. See you later.